Welcome to the Hump Day Hangout podcast by Semantic Mastery, where we answer your local SEO questions every week at 4 p.m. Eastern. I'm Adam Moody, and my partner at Semantic Mastery, Bradley Benner, will be sharing his decades of expertise based on not only helping others, but running his own agencies and businesses in the space. If you'd like to join us live on YouTube each week, just go to www.semanticmastery.com/HDHO at 4 p.m. Eastern on Wednesdays. If you'd like to ask a question ahead of time, go to the same link, www.semanticmastery.com/HDHO at any time and submit it there. Don't forget, you can get the Semantic Mastery Local SEO Toolkit for free at the same URL. Okay, let's get going with this episode.
Hey guys, we're live. Adam's coming in just a minute, so stand by. We're already live.
All right, outstanding. I'm getting used to the new setup, but Let's see. I already know which episode it is. It's episode 585. Today is the 18th of February, 2026. And welcome to Hump Day Hangouts. If you're joining us live, give us a hello, type something in the chat. Let us know you're here. And if you're catching the replay, thanks for joining us. If you're not already subscribed to the Semantic Mastery YouTube channel, go ahead and subscribe. You can get notifications about Hump Day Hangouts. Also, if you're a question asker, it's a good way to stay on top of when we chop up each question and put it out on the channel for you. Get notified of stuff like that. Let me see. We got a couple other things I want to go through today, but we'll keep the announcements brief, and then we're going to get into answering your local SEO questions. Wanted to give a shout out. We had some more mastermind members joining over the past week. So welcome into the mastermind. If you've heard us talking about this, about the mastermind community, but you're not sure what it is, you can find out more about it at mastermind.semanticmastery.com. It's what it sounds like. It's a place for local SEO freelancers and agency owners. We have two tiers in the mastermind. You know, if you're on more of the entry-level side, or you just need the information and process and SOPs, we have the entry-level tier. And if you want the one-on-one with Bradley, if you want a little bit more interaction, you want the access, then we have the pro tier. You can find out more about both of those at mastermind.semanticmastery.com. So with that out of the way, Bradley, how you doing today?
Good, man. Busy as all hell as usual, but things are good. Just finished the office hour session for Wednesdays with our members that are in the pro tier. So, you know, an hour and a half, like you said, on Tuesdays, and then an hour and a half on Wednesdays, which is awesome because we get full interaction with the members that attend, and they ask questions. We discuss things. I go into, campaign review, audits, provide, kind of site structure recommendations. That's what we talked a lot about today for a site, kind of a large site build down in the Florida area. So anyway, just really, really cool. I enjoy that a lot. I really enjoy being able to interact with our members and everything else. And and I think I want to provide a little bit of clarity also. To the easy way to think about the two different levels in the mastermind now is the entry level tier, which is our full mastermind program. It's everything that we've always had before. It's now opened up for, it's 1/6 the cost. And that is for really more tactical knowledge. Like I teach a lot of tactics about how to operate, do local SEO, local marketing, all that. So more kind of the tactical level. And then pro tier is more the strategic level, if that makes sense. It's more kind of higher level stuff that we talk more like on the operation side for agencies that have more clients that need more kind of operational support, that type of stuff. Also building automations, AI integrations, streamlining things, reducing personnel and overhead costs, so that you can increase profitability, that kind of stuff. All of that is kind of the difference. The pro tier gets direct access to me, and I'm also teaching more of the higher level, more strategic types of things that I've been implementing into my own agency, mostly AI related stuff, really. But like, lead generation, operational automations and workflows and things like that to, again, make things more efficient, cost less, more profitable, etc. And then at the mastermind level, the entry level tier, that's where I teach more, still a lot of the types of stuff that we had taught before, which are like individual ranking tactics and lead generation, so that you can generate more leads for your own agency, your own business, as well as for clients. And so, like, for example, last Thursday, the mastermind webinar, I went through a very thorough process that is absolutely amazing. Adam, you know what I'm talking about. It was the AI Trinity Stack process, where you use basically a series of AI tools can be done entirely in Claude. It can be done entirely in anti-gravity. So either one that you want to use, but it's going out and identifying very specific pain points in a particular industry or consumer pain points for products and services in an industry, and then developing a PDF a PDF document that specifically addresses one pain point. That's it, one. But very, very valuable. And we're talking about like this process it took me about an hour the first time that I went through it. Second time I went through it, it took me about 40 minutes. Third time I go through it, it probably only take me 25 minutes or so because I know the process now. And very, very valuable, not just for generating PDFs for lead gen or creating PDFs for lead generation, but also for the PDFs can be used to rank. They can be used to create backlinks, citations, a number of reasons why it's a very it's just an awesome process that I shared last week. I'm just amazed with how powerful that is. And then tomorrow for the mastermind webinar, I'm going to be talking about some more lead generation and sales stuff. Specifically, I've been working on developing some more processes and using AI in my lead gen and kind of appointment booking and sales side of things for my own agency. And so I'm going to be sharing. I started building 2 different automations this week, which I hope to have done over this next weekend, so that the following Thursday, I'll be able to, like tomorrow, I'm going to introduce the concepts and show what I'm building, the tools, etc. And then next Thursday, I hope to have them fully built and operational, so that then I can show here's the before and here's the after type thing. So, and then like you had mentioned before, the office hour sessions is where we get into like the nitty gritty of everything. Whatever anybody wants to cover, I cover. And I know there's a question we're going to be covering today that is asking about, do you teach everything in the mastermind? Yeah, man, I'm an open book. There's nothing I hide. The difference between, like I said, some of the things that I'm teaching at the pro tier level, I'm not going to teach at the mastermind level. It's only going to be available for those in the pro tier. And that's, like I said, kind of more operational stuff, the higher level strategy things, but the tactical stuff is all available at the entry level. So encourage people to check it out, man. What harm does it have to come join for a bit and see if it's something that would support you in your business? Come check it out and try it. So
definitely awesome, Bradley. Well, wanted to let you know real quick, I got something to take care of in the basement. I'm going to take my laptop down with me, so I won't have video on, but I'll be around on audio.
Okay, man. You can go hide in your mom's basement. I get it. No worries. So are we good? Can we get into questions?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, man. Well, you go do what you got to do. I should be good.
Sweet.
All right. So guys, I'm going to grab the screen. We got a number of questions to get through, just a handful, so not many, but if anybody's on and they have any questions or anything that you want me to cover, feel free to ask. Give me a second while I get to the actual webinar so I can see the chat box. Okay. Stand by, guys. I'm going to grab the screen and we'll get into it. What's up, guys? I see Chris in there and Old Mill Football. Okay, guys. Hey, how are you all? All right, let me grab the screen and we'll get into it. And I hope I don't drop. Google Meet does this weird thing where it will, if there's only a single person in the meeting, it drops it. It's kind of weird.
Well, I'm going to stay in here, so no worries.
Well, yeah. Okay. So as long as somebody's attending, I don't think that prep happens. But last Thursday during the mastermind webinar, like, I don't know, I think it's like a 10-minute timeout period and it just drops the call. And so we got 10 minutes into the mastermind and it just ended. And it was like, oh my God. Like, and I had to kind of get because it changed when the live stream ends, the YouTube video changes, like the URL. So you couldn't, I could re-enter the meet, but you had to create a whole new YouTube URL. And that's how we manage the mastermind anyway.
Yeah.
So, all right, guys, well, let's go ahead and get into it. We've got a handful of questions. Like I said, if anybody has anything they want us to cover today, feel free to post in the comment box and I'll get to it. We should have plenty of time. If not, we'll wrap up early, although I say that every week, almost every week, and very rarely does that ever happen. First question is from Jason. He says, if your wife had a business and you wanted to support her indirectly by hiring the right help for local SEO, how would you approach it? Would you hire a high-level strategist to create the plan and a lower cost executor to handle implementation, or focus mainly on something like link building? More broadly, what matters most when hiring for strong local SEO results? Strategic expertise, execution reliability, communication, or staying ahead of fast changing tactics? All of the above. Yes. My answer is yes. The answer to the question is find somebody that has a track record. That's what matters, in my opinion, because somebody could have strategic expertise, but are they able to execute? Like in other words, because, you asked, would you hire a high level strategist to create the plan and a lower cost executor to handle the implementation? I mean, that can be done, but usually that's going to be a team anyways. Like, you're going to have an SEO that has an assistant. Like, in other words, the SEO kind of develops the plan and the assistant executed a lot of the work. And so that's usually going to be, it's a solopreneur with an assistant or a small agency or whatever. And that's typically how you would do it. I wouldn't recommend that you or your wife, in this case, or my wife in this hypothetical example, would be the one to kind of manage that. Like, in other words, you're acting as, let's put it in construction terms, right? Which is the terms that I know very, very well. It's like, if you want to remodel your kitchen, you could act as the general contractor and subcontract out all the various trades, right? Flooring contractors, plumbers, cabinets and countertops, painters, electricians, HVAC if needed, right? Any of those types, you could act as the general contractor, where you have to subcontract each of the contractors for the various trades that you need to execute a successful kitchen remodeling project. But you have to have some sort of expertise at managing and contractors, fielding, responding to estimates, knowing costs, timelines, all that kind of stuff. And so, would you be, if you're not a general contractor, right? If you don't have construction experience, would you be the best suited to act as the general contractor? Probably not, right? So what would you do? You would hire a general contractor or a kitchen remodeling company or remodeling company, whatever, which are general contractors, that then they would manage subbing out all the other trades, right? And they would manage the project because they have the experience and the know-how to do it. And so I wouldn't recommend that you hire a strategist to provide the plan and then hire and manage a lower cost, executor, so to speak, right? Somebody to complete the plan, because then you would be the one responsible for managing. And what is your experience with the SEO? I'm not picking on Jason here. I don't know what his experience is at all, whether he has any experience or not, but I'm just stating, typically I would recommend that you hire an SEO professional or an agency that has their own, in-house team that will execute whatever it is that whatever the plan is, if that makes sense, because they know how to operate and manage those types of campaigns, and they will be better at it than you would be, right? Unless you have some sort of considerable experience, which that wasn't referenced in the question. So I'm just assuming that you don't. And so I don't recommend trying to piece it together. Yeah, you might be able to save a few bucks that way, but the management headache is not worth it, in my opinion. You're better off just hiring somebody, or either a person or a small agency or whatever that can manage all of it for you. That's my recommendation, because again, I've got a handful of SEO white label clients, link building clients that aren't agencies or SEO professionals. They're actual business owners. I'm very selective about whether or not I will accept a direct business owner into my link building service, because I tell them right on when I get a business owner direct on a sales call, which I don't look for those, but occasionally I will get a booked call from a business owner or an employee at a company, and they'll say, yeah, well, we're coming direct to you instead of going through an agency. And I'll tell them right out of the gate, listen, I work with SEO professionals and agencies. Everything that we do is specifically geared towards speaking to and delivering SEO services to an SEO professional that then turns and converts the reporting and everything down to the end user, which is the business owner, so the local business. And I say, I'm not dumbing down, I'm more diplomatic than what I'm saying right now. In other words, I'm a little bit more tactful than I am right now about it. But I basically tell them, I'm not going to dumb down our process for you. We're just not going to do it. Because as a business owner, unless you have unless you understand SEO fairly deeply, a lot of what we're going to provide and produce and send to you for reporting and all that kind of stuff, you're not going to understand. And we are not going to take the time. We work with agencies and professionals so that we don't have to, right? I love selling links to SEOs or selling SEO services to SEOs. Why? Because we speak the same language. Trying to sell SEO services to local businesses is a lot more challenging. Ask me now, I know. I've been doing it for years. That's why I don't try to sell SEO to tree service contractors. I try to sell exposure, right? I sell exposure, and SEO is just one of the components that we use to provide more exposure for that business. So exposure, leads, operational efficiency, those are the things that we sell at the local level to direct to business owners, not SEO. SEO is just a component of what it is that we sell, right? So we don't have to get into the weeds about all the stuff that goes into the SEO, because it's only a line item in the overall retainer package of all the stuff that we provide to the client, which really what they're more focused on is leads, sales, conversions, booked appointments, revenue, etc. And so it's not the SEO that really matters. It's the result of the SEO. And so therefore, like I said, if I was going to try to help my wife, my hypothetical wife, with a business, I would hire an SEO professional or an SEO firm or a local marketing firm that can manage it for me, for the same reasons that I just described, hiring a general contractor to do a construction project. Same thing, okay? Hopefully that's clear. You might be able to save some money the other way, but the headache wouldn't be worth it, in my opinion, and it would be, you probably wouldn't achieve the types of results that you were expecting anyway. So what should you look for? I recommend looking for a specialist in whatever industry you're in. I've been teaching that for years, guys. A generalist SEO is never going to be as effective, or a generalist marketer is never going to be as effective at marketing your wife's business as a marketing professional that specializes in that particular industry. So find a specialist, right? Either a boutique agency or an SEO professional that specializes in a particular industry, like I do with tree services, right? No kidding. One of the clients I just closed over the last month or so, I'm dealing with, it's actually his sister. I thought it was his wife, but it's his sister. The tree service company owner is the brother of the sister who I've been dealing with, as you know, for the setup of the campaign and everything. And she told me on this call that we had a month ago now, 5 weeks ago now, whatever it was, the first call that we had, that she told me the other company that she was, SEO marketing company, it's a local to them in Virginia Beach, Virginia, which is where they're located. And she had said that she just was honest with me and said, I'm also talking with this other company. And she told me their name, whatever it was an agency. And she was like, so, you know, and I was like, well, that's fine. And I was like, but do they specialize in tree services and tree care, you know, working with tree care contractors? She said, no, they're local to this area and everything. And I said, okay, well, you know, you can try with them. And I said, but I work exclusively with tree service contractors. And I said, and I have been for, you know, the last 10, 12 years, I've worked with tree contractors since 2020. That's all I work with are tree service contractors. So I still have some legacy clients in some other industries, mostly all still home service industries, roofers, house painters, pest control, et cetera. But most of all my clients are in the tree service industry. And I said, so, you know, we specialize working with you. Like, because I've been working with tree contractors for 12 years, I know your business. I know what works. I know what converts. I know how to generate leads. I know like the different types of offers that we can provide at various times of the year. For example, because that's one of the things I sold her on was the comeback campaign, right? Reactivation, list reactivation campaigns. And in fact, we just initiated that today. No kidding. I was in high level today, modifying our workflows for the list reactivation campaign and everything. And we started it today, which, by the way, I don't know if anybody's using high level, but the A2P process for registering local phone numbers for SMS text messaging is fucking ridiculous now. Oh my God. It's horrible. It is one of the worst experiences I've ever been through, trying to get a phone number verified now for A2P. Oh my God. I went through 6 separate submissions for this one client, the one I'm talking about right now alone. It took 3 weeks in 6 separate submissions, which you have to pay $25 per attempt to try to get the A2P verification. And it took 6 separate and 3 weeks of support with high level support. No kidding. I've got a thread that is dozens and dozens of replies long in support over 3 fucking weeks to get a phone number registered. It's unbelievable, man. I'm so ready to be done. Like, just to be clear, guys, I said in 2026, I'm not trying to grow my local marketing agency because I want to focus 100% on my white label services and semantic mastery. That's where all of my kind of heart is, so to speak. I'm still not going to close Tree Care HQ down because I've got too many clients and I've got so many contacts in my pipeline because of the, you know, directory stuff that I've been doing for the last 5 years. And that's why I closed 3 clients in the last month. I still have a 4th one that's on the fence that I thought I was going to close 2 or 3 weeks ago, and he still hasn't closed. But those were all contacts that have come to me because they were, added to my funnel, so to speak. And they were on a nurture sequence for at least 6 months. One of them had been a former client from 3 or 4 years ago, and he came back. So like I said, that happens all the time. So I'm not going to shut it down because it's a revenue generator. I'm just not trying to grow it. But anyways, getting back to that, the whole A2P thing, it's like after going through this experience, and like I said, I closed 3 contractors in the last month or so. And 2 of them, I've had just an absolute bear of a time. Like it's been a total bitch to try to get these A2P registrations done. It's unbelievable, guys. They make you have so much in the privacy policy now, and you have to have 2 separate checkboxes underneath the opt-in form. It's unbelievable. It's so stupid. So I'm so done. I hope I don't have to go through that again, but I know for sure I'm going to get more tree service clients. So anyway, moving on to the next one. John says, I get that Google has been entity-based for years now. So next question, Adam, I think I'm trying to remember to start that process. Next question. Okay. John Rogers, he says, I get that Google has been an entity-based for years now. My question is, what all do you put on the location page aside from linking out to your services? Example, company in Colorado Springs that does window installation, stucco, and vinyl siding and entry door replacement wants to rank in cities and areas around Colorado Springs because Colorado Springs is pretty big. Say they rank well on the south part, but not the north part of Colorado Springs. What do you put on the location page? Would it be points of interest? And then somehow intertwine the business into that? That seems to be the part I'm missing. Thanks in advance. Okay, let's do some, it's only 20 after 4. We only got one other question after this one. Couple comments in here. So yeah, Old Mill says A2P is very bad. Yeah, it's terrible. It's horrid, man. I hated that process. Anyways, because we only have one other question, and you guys aren't real chatty in chat, I'm going to go ahead and kind of walk through this a little bit, and we'll kind of go through a process of how I would approach this. So we're going to start with going to Easy Local Map Radius tool. And we're going to go pull up some Wikipedia pages here, guys, because I just finished doing some training today for the office hours, mastermind office hours session, where we were doing a lot of what I'm going to be doing right now. So, but one thing I would do is go look at Colorado Springs, Wikipedia, understand the geographic hierarchy the way that Google does. And how does Google understand it? The way that Wikipedia shows it. So if we want to start optimizing for a site in Colorado Springs that on, I guess he said the south side, they were performing well in this hypothetical question. Let's see. They rank well in the south part, but not so much on the north part. Okay. Well, first of all, I would come in here and I would look at this, right? So I would look at how the site, so if you look in, usually on, it depends on, all right, let me back up. Some cities, depending on how big they are, will have a list of neighborhoods or districts within the city page for on Wikipedia. It has to be a fairly big city for it to have that section. For really big cities, it will have oftentimes a separate Wikipedia page for list of neighborhoods in city. Okay, hopefully that's clear. And for smaller cities, it oftentimes won't even have that section at all. Okay, to be clear. So Colorado Springs here, if we take a look at it, it has neighborhoods right here. You can also look at geography. I like to open these up, not all of them, but look up to see if there's other kind of geographic relevance or data that I can pull from this page. But in this case, it says the neighborhoods and historic places here. But before I click down to that, I also want to go open up the county, because guys, remember, a city or a town is usually contained within a larger county, right? It's not always. Sometimes it's an independent city that is not encompassed by a larger county. But most of the time in the United States, a city or a town is part of it's a single location in a county, which a county is an area, which is a collection of locations. You understand? A location is a location. An area is a collection of locations. And so I was talking about this just an hour and a half ago on the office hours call. You got to think of it like the Russian dolls, right? At the very center, the smallest doll, and then there's like the Russian dolls, right? You open up a big Russian doll, and there's a smaller one, just a slightly smaller one inside. You open that up slightly, you do that all the way down. Well, you start at the city or town level, that's the smallest doll, right? And then there's a wrapper around that, which is going to be the county. And then the county is usually part of a larger metropolitan area region, which is usually a collection of multiple counties, right? Or not always, because sometimes it's in a kind of a rural area, and that city is part of a county that is not part of a metropolitan region, but is still likely part of a other larger region. Might not be a metro area, but it's still a region, right? And then there's sometimes larger regions, which will be a collection of smaller regions or state level, right? It depends on the size of the state, but sometimes there will be big regional levels, and then there will be a state level. So if you understand that, that's the hierarchy of the locations. And so I bring that up because Colorado Springs is a city. And yes, you can break it down to even smaller pieces by neighborhoods or districts or communities within the city, right? And so I'm going to get to a point here in just a moment, but I'm trying to explain the hierarchy, guys. If you understand how to structure location hierarchy within a site, the way that Google understands it, which you can determine that from just studying Wikipedia. You start at the smallest level, which I say smallest, that would be neighborhoods, but we only add neighborhoods if needed. I'll get to that in a minute. We start with the smallest point, which is going to be the city or town level, or unincorporated community, census designated place, whatever it is, okay? But that's going to be a single location. At the top of the Wikipedia page for that, you'll always find the county, if it's a location contained within a county. If it's an independent city, then sometimes it won't mention a county, but it will typically then mention a region that it is also part of. Okay, hopefully you guys understand what I'm saying. But Colorado Springs is part of El Paso County. All right, so now if the company, all they were trying to do was target Colorado Springs only, then we could omit looking at the county and in the greater region too, which the greater region is going to be the Colorado Springs metropolitan area, right? Also known as, if you click on tools, what links here, hide transclusions and hide links, and click go. One of our mastermind members taught me this. Love this trick. These are also all entity variants or synonyms that can be used interchangeably for Colorado Springs metropolitan area. So you can use any one of those terms at all, and it all means the same thing. You guys get it? So what I'm saying is this is now looking at kind of the hierarchy for like a service area business that would be in Colorado Springs that are typically going to target either all of El Paso County, Colorado, or all of Colorado Springs metropolitan area, right? Or greater Colorado Springs, or whatever any one of those other variants are. But take a look at this. These are there's 2 counties that make up the Colorado Springs metro area, metropolitan area region. You guys get what I'm saying? That's what I was saying before. So now we're looking at the proper hierarchy. We've got city, greater county, right? So the county that the city is part of. And then this county is one of, in this case, 2 counties that are part of the greater metropolitan region, right? And so, again, there's typically going to be a larger region than that. So right here, it says the Colorado Springs metropolitan statistical area is the second most populous component of the Front Range urban corridor. So this is now an even larger region. Do you understand? So I'm trying to show you guys that because if I was going to then be structuring a site, you first have to understand the appropriate geographic hierarchy so that then you can structure it so that the site structure provides agreement with how Google understands the hierarchy of the geography. You understand? So it's the same thing that we do when we're talking about the topic side of the site. So products and services, I consider those topics, and the geography is the locations or the area, right? So I always, for local sites, I always look at the topics and geography, right? Topics being products or services, and the geography being the locations or the area in which they operate. All right. And so we break everything down the exact same way I'm showing you here. That's why whenever I look at local campaigns, I look at Google business categories. Those are top level service categories that can be broken down into their individual entity components. I've been teaching about this for years. It's in my full SEO audits. Let me just give you a quick example. If we go to Wikipedia and we look up HVAC contractor, or excuse me, if we just do a search for HVAC contractor, what is the Google business category? It's HVAC contractor. Okay. Well, I'm getting to a point. We're going to talk about the geography in a minute, but I want to make sure that you guys understand that when I'm doing this kind of hierarchy research for the geography, that same process applies to how you structure the topic side of the site, which is for products and services. It's the exact same process. There's no difference, right? It's learning and understanding how Google understands those concepts, those topics, the hierarchy, and how they relate to each other. And then mirroring that structure within the build of the site. because now it's providing agreement that Google is familiar with. You understand? And so it's, instead of trying to push a boulder uphill, now you're pushing it downhill, right? Because you're going with the flow, so to speak. So hopefully that makes sense. But if we come over and we look at HVAC Wikipedia, let me give you an example, guys. And this is a top level service category. It's very, very broad. Okay. But HVAC, also known as heating, ventilation, and air conditioning. And remember, guys, any bolded text in paragraph text in a Wikipedia page, excuse me, we're not talking about headings and subheadings, but any bolded paragraph text is a synonym of that entity term, right? It's a variant, a variant or a synonym, right? It can be used interchangeably with this term up here. So HVAC equals heating, ventilation, and air conditioning. Remember, you can go to tools, what links here, hide transclusions and hide links, click go. These are also all entity variants of that same term. So this is what I'm trying to explain, guys. This is why we shouldn't be optimizing for keywords anymore. Because if you optimize at the entity level, all of those terms that for HVAC in this case are already related. They're already relevant to a page that would be optimized for HVAC. Every one of those terms on this list right here, guys, are relevant to that one page. Whether that phrase is published on the page or not, it makes no difference because, well, it can improve the performance if it's published on the page, but it doesn't have to be published on the page for the page to rank for any of the queries that are listed here if the page is optimized for HVAC or heating, ventilation, and air conditioning or any one of these other terms. You understand? Because all of these terms are already associated with HVAC. All right, so let's go to the next one then. How about contractor? Okay, so HVAC contractor, guys, is sorry, that's not what I meant to do. HVAC contractor is a Google business category, one service category. It's quite broad, but it's one service category that is made up of two entity components, HVAC and contractor, but really general contractor. Let me explain what I mean. This is what's called a disambiguation page because contractor has multiple meanings depending on which context it is used. The context in which we would be talking about an HVAC contractor is general contractor, an individual or organization responsible for the construction of a building or other facility. If we go click on general contractor and we open up this entity page, right? Entity is a person, place, or thing. If it has a Wikipedia page, it's an entity. Okay. But what does it say right here about general contractor? A contractor in North American and English, a general contractor is also known as a contractor in North American and English or a builder in British English. And remember, tools, what links here, hide transclusions, hide links, click go. These are also all entity variants that mean the same thing as general contractor or contractor. Or you see what I'm saying, guys? Contractor is plural. It all means the same thing. Okay. So if we understand that, now we know that we can optimize for the entity components for any top level category, Google business category, and we can structure by researching the topics and the entities that make up the Google business categories. We can determine how to structure the content and how to structure the headings and subheadings within pages on individual pages. That's how we determine page structure and overall site architecture is through understanding the concepts and how they relate to each other in their proper hierarchy, and in mirroring that or modeling that into the site build, because that's how Google understands it. It's familiar, it's logical, right? And so I brought all that up because I'm trying to explain that the same process that we go through for identifying how to structure the topic side of the site, which is for products and services, applies to how we structure it for geography optimization or geographic optimization, right? Service area optimization, right? It's trying to getting familiar with all of how everything is connected and associated, and in modeling or mirroring that structure into the site build. Okay, so now that we know that, now I just started to say all that because we had another question in the mastermind just the past week. Somebody said, hey, do you have an SOP for on-page optimization? Because I got a lot of SOPs in that mastermind, but don't have an SOP for on-page optimization. And I gave the same answer that I always give when somebody asks me that. No, because there is no standard operating procedure for on-page optimization. There are best practices, but every single local business is going to have a different configuration. How many product or service categories do they have? How many locations are they targeting, right? Is it a single service category like tree services, where each one of the services, tree trimming, tree removal, stump grinding, land clearing, arborist consulting, all of those services fall under one service category, tree service, right? So But HVAC, which we just looked at as an example, there's multiple. There's the top level HVAC contractor category, but then there's air conditioning contractor, heating contractor, air conditioning repair service, furnace repair service, right? These are all supporting categories or subcategories of HVAC contractor. So again, here's another example. Is it an HVAC contractor that only does HVAC work, or do they also do HVAC and electrical, or HVAC and plumbing, or HVAC and electrical and plumbing? Because a lot of HVAC contractors do a combination of those things. Now you're talking about a very complicated site build because you've got multiple service categories with sub-service categories. So do I have an SOP for on page? No. And I'm never going to have an SOP for on page. I'm going to talk about best practices. And I tell mastermind members every time, when I get that question, if you have a specific project that you need guidance on, post about it in the community. I'm happy to go through on one of the mastermind webinars, talk exactly how I would structure that site. And with the caveat that unless it's a tree service site, if I'm not working in that industry, whatever I recommend as the proper structure of that site is only a very educated guess it's not really a guess, but it's a very educated recommendation, but it's only supposed to be used as a starting point, because without proper trial and error in testing in that particular industry, with testing different configurations for that particular site build in that industry, then I don't know what the best configuration is. I can just provide you with a really good starting point. But as it is with all SEO guys, it requires trial and error testing, single variable testing to determine what the best performing configuration is. Again, why I keep telling everybody to go into one freaking industry, because if you're trying to do this across 12 different industries, good luck. Good luck at becoming effective in any one of those industries when you're spread too thin across too many things. I promise if you're doing 12 different industries or 6 different industries, you're not doing all this testing. I know it because you don't have the time. It's almost impossible to do it. It's hard enough to do it in one industry effectively and properly, yet alone across multiple industries. So in the tree service industry, I know it works because I've been working at it for 12 years now. And I know in the last 5 years since the the way that we build sites, and when the algorithm shifted away from keywords to entities, it completely changed how we should be optimizing. And I've spent 5 years, 6 years now, kind of trying to perfect that in the tree service industry. And I still find ways to improve it, guys. So imagine trying to do this across multiple industries. I don't know why anybody puts themselves through that, honestly. Okay, so with that all said, I would come back now, assuming that this campaign is only targeting Colorado Springs, the city, so that we can, now that I've kind of explained everything, and I want to go through the actual demonstration of how I would start to structure this to get back to the original question, to make this process a little bit more efficient right now. I'm going to reduce the complexity of adding in the larger county and additional locations, which if you look at communities here in El Paso County, typically if it's a service area business, the company wouldn't just be targeting Colorado Springs. They would also be targeting adjacent and neighboring cities, et cetera. So the reason I brought that up is let's just go get a Colorado Springs zip code. Just pick one, 80829. All right, let's go there. So easylocal.com map radius tool. What did I say that was? 80829, 80829. All right, so we're going to come over here for a minute, and we would do 80829. If it's just a small city where it's got one zip code, you don't need, you just put the city name in. But I knew Colorado Springs was going to have many zip codes. I just picked one, but you would put the zip code where the company is actually located first. And then you would do whatever their kind of, when you ask a contractor, like a tree service contractor, how far out do you go to get jobs? They'll say, we'll go 60 miles. Okay, that's not a reasonable service area. It's not. Well, especially for like, if you're trying to optimize, the GBP's never, if they say, 10 miles, okay, that's more reasonable. But so I would say, in Colorado Springs being a very densely populated area, I would say probably an 8 to 10 mile radius would be about the most you could expect. Okay. So now if we copy all this, I'm going to put this in a Google Doc because I have to, I can't show a notepad file like I normally would. So just stand by, guys. I don't have notes in here. Never mind. I'll just go open one up. All right. So we're going to take this. You have to paste all of that from Easy Local. It won't let you just selectively copy. But right here within, what did I say? An 8 mile radius, I think. Yeah, it was an 8-mile radius. Okay. So if we come take a look at this, guys, you'll see that within 8 miles of that one zip code, there's Fort Carson, Manitou Springs, or I think that's Manitou Springs, Green Mountain Falls, Colorado Springs, Cascade. So those right there, those are the cities within an 8-mile radius of that zip code. Does that make sense, guys? So now I'd have to go look at the map to determine, let's see, Cascade was part of that as well. So those right there, those are the cities that are within 8 miles of that zip code. All right. But so that's why the reason I started saying that was because unless the company is only targeting Colorado Springs, which is for the rest of this example, that's what we're going to go on, is just Colorado Springs. But what I'm explaining here is that if it's a service area business, they are likely also targeting these locations because that's within an 8-mile radius of at least this zip code, if that was relevant. Okay. If that makes sense. And so I would then be building location pages to target each one of these locations, if that's clear. If the homepage, if the company's located in Colorado Springs, the homepage can be the location landing page, as long as in this example here, right? If the company is only targeting Colorado Springs, and they might have supporting location pages for the neighborhoods or communities or districts within Colorado Springs, the city, then that's perfectly fine to link to the homepage, with the homepage being optimized for this is the company name. So name, what they do, broad terms, and where they do it. If they want to reference Colorado Springs on the homepage of the site, and the homepage being the location landing page, meaning the Google Business Profile is linking to the homepage as the website URL. That's the location landing page. Then that would be a true and accurate statement. Meaning, if the company is only targeting the city of Colorado Springs and they link to the homepage and the homepage is optimized for Colorado Springs, that is a true and accurate statement. That is proper. It's appropriate. Okay. But if this same company had an 8-mile service area radius and they were linking to their homepage and their homepage was optimized for Colorado Springs, but they also service these other areas, then that is an inaccurate, an untrue statement that provides disagreement with what Google understands about the business. The business might be located in Colorado Springs, but if they have pages on the site that says they also service Fort Carson, Manitou Springs, Green Mountain Falls, etc., then if they're linking to the homepage, it says this is who we are, this is what we do, and this is where we do it, and it says Colorado Springs only, that's an untrue statement. It's saying, well, just kidding, we also do it in these other areas too. So what does Google do with that? So how do you resolve that? Well, you would look at the larger geographic area so that on the homepage, you can still link to the homepage if the company's located in Colorado Springs. But if they service these other areas, what is the area entity that encompasses or includes these other areas? That's why you look at the county, right? You go to the broader county. And then if this company, this hypothetical company, was not just targeting Colorado Springs, but also these other areas that are adjacent or within 8 miles of Colorado Springs, then I would look at the county entity first to determine, are these other locations all within this one county, or do we have to broaden it up even more to the metropolitan area region? Whatever the appropriate area entity is that is all inclusive of these locations is what the homepage should be optimized for, because then that's a true and accurate statement. This is who we are, this is what we do, and this is the area in which we operate. And the location where we're physically located is a location within that area. That's a true statement. Do you understand what I'm saying, guys? Optimizing for Colorado Springs on the homepage, if it's a service area business that also services these other areas, is an inaccurate, untrue statement. Performance won't be as good. But if you understand that Fort Carson, Manitou Springs, Green Falls, okay, so we got Manitou Springs, Green Mountain Falls, Fort Carson, so there's 3, and I think there was a total of 5. Colorado Springs, we already know. So Cascade, is Cascade in there as well? Cascade, Chipotle Park, or what, Chipeta Park, whatever. I don't know if that's the same or not, but let's just assume that Cascade is also in this El Paso County or whatever it is. Do you understand? Then you would optimize the homepage for brand, broad service category. This is what we do. And then where we do it would be El Paso County, Colorado. The company might be located in Colorado Springs, and you could link to the homepage that's optimized for El Paso County because Colorado Springs is clearly within El Paso County. You understand? And so that's still a true and accurate statement. All right. So, but for this question, the hypothetical question was, and again, because I didn't see any mention of any area outside of Colorado Springs, then how would I optimize to try to target the north side of the city if it's doing well in the south side, which means they would be located in the south side if they're doing better there, but not so much in the north. That means they're located in the south, right? The GBP is going to perform better where it's located. So then what would I do? Okay, so because Colorado Springs has a neighborhoods and historic places section down here, what I would do is I would optimize the site. And let me give you something else. I would also do is go look at Colorado Springs neighborhoods in Google. And sometimes, depending on the neighbor, the size of the city that you're looking for, you'll see right at the top, right here. These are neighborhoods that Google has associated with Colorado Springs, right? So what would I do? Well, I would publish supporting location pages. First of all, let me be clear. If the company was only targeting Colorado Springs and not anywhere else, not any of the adjacent areas, right? But neighborhoods within Colorado Springs, because that's all still within that same area, then I would start with just publishing the homepage optimized for Colorado Springs, where then I would have an H2 statement. And let's go ahead and pull this down to the bottom for a minute. Okay, so what I would do is I would optimize the homepage for something like this, right? I would say, you know, Benner's Heating and Air. I know I misspelled that. HVAC, probably HVAC services or HVAC, probably HVAC services. It depends on it depends on how many services they offered, how many service categories, top level service categories there would be, because sometimes if it's an HVAC company and that's all they do, then the services page should be the homepage, because any of the service pages on the site would be those services that fall under that. And you don't want duplication. You don't want redundancy. But if it's an HVAC company that does electrical, plumbing, and HVAC, electrical, and plumbing, or HVAC and plumbing, or HVAC and electrical, now you've got two service categories. So you wouldn't want the homepage optimized for HVAC services, because you would then have an HVAC services page on the site that then would introduce the supporting services that fall under that service category, like furnace repair, central heating, air conditioning repair, etc. All of those types of things are supporting services under the HVAC. But in this case, to keep it simple, we'll say it's just an HVAC company. That's all they offer. So the main services page, the top level services page, would be the homepage. You understand? So any of the supporting services, central heating, air conditioning, furnace repair, all of those would be top level service pages that fall under the top level service category of HVAC contractor, which is what the homepage is optimized for. You don't need a separate services page in the menu item, right? The menu, navigation menu, excuse me, where then you could have a services navigation item that's just a drop-down arrow, but doesn't have a page, because the homepage is the HVAC services page, if you understand what I'm saying. I see this all the time, SEOs all the time, where they will target HVAC services on the homepage, just like I'm showing you here. And then they have another page, HVAC services. Now you got two pages competing for the same fucking search query, right? I see it all the time. And I'm trying to tell you guys not to do that. So instead, in this case, to make it easy, it's just an HVAC company. That's all they offer, not electrical and plumbing. All right. So therefore, the homepage would be this. And then I would say Colorado Springs. Okay. Colorado Springs. And then I always like to use the full entity term, which is usually spelled out the state, at least in the SEO title. Then in the H1, we use a variant. And in the H2s, or guys understand the proper the main optimization elements of a page: URL, titles, which includes two components, SEO title and the H1. SEO title is the meta title. The H1 is the page or post title. So there's two components to a title, guys. Get it? There's titles. Okay. SEO title, H1. Then there's headings, which are H2s. Then there's subheadings, H3s, 4s, 5s, etc. Then there's media and internal links. Those are the main optimization elements of a page. That's where you use entity variants. We optimize for the machines at the main optimization elements of the page. We optimize for humans with the paragraph text between those main optimization elements. We want to convert the human visitor into whatever conversion goal it is that we want them to take. I love that now about SEO, because it used to be where we just spam the shit out of those pages with keyword density and all this other shit. And it read terribly. It wasn't about converting. It was about just getting it ranked, because there wasn't a lot of options for consumers, and they would just buy whatever the top ranked pages were that satisfied their query. That's not the case anymore. We have to be a lot more discerning about what we publish on the pages, because there's a lot of options for consumers now, right? So I like the fact that we now have to optimize and use marketing and copywriting, marketing, like sound direct response marketing principles, and compelling copywriting, et cetera, in order to produce a result. But anyways, this is how I would optimize the homepage. So Benner's Heating and Air Services, HVAC, Colorado Springs. Then I would have an H1, okay, where I would say, and I didn't used to do this, but I do now, the best, let's say let's go pull it up, find some, see if we have HVAC right here. The best, let's just say heating and air conditioning right there. So I'm going to say the best heating and air conditioning contractor, okay? Because now what are we doing? Let me back that up. What are we doing, guys? If it's an HVAC contractor and I put now heating and air conditioning contractor, okay? Remember, heating and air conditioning is an entity variant of HVAC. So what have we done now? We've got the broad entity association statement, also known as a semantic triple. This is who we are, Benner's Air Conditioning, or Benner's Heating and Air, excuse me. This is what we do, HVAC services. This is where we do it, Colorado Springs, Colorado. You understand? Who we are, what we do, where we do it. 3 entities, entity association. That's our jobs as SEOs, guys. It's not pushing stupid SEO metrics anymore. Our jobs are creating associations or forcing the algorithms to recognize associations between the brand and the products or services it provides and the locations or area in which it provides those products or services. That's our jobs. Links, everything, guys, are about creating associations. You understand? It's not about pushing SEO metrics. It's about associations, right? So what are we doing here? First, we're creating with a very distinct and clean entity association statement in the SEO title. This is who we are. This is what we do. This is where we do it on the homepage with an accurate statement. This is a true and accurate statement. It provides agreement with how the GBP is optimized. Look at how a GBP is optimized right here, guys. Look at this. We're going to go right into it and take a look at this in Maps. Sorry, let me just do that in Maps, actually. How Google and the bots read pages the ways that we do, guys, top to bottom, left to right, top to bottom. You understand? So how is a GBP referenced? This is who we are. This is what we do. This is where we do it. You guys see that? It's about providing agreement. That's why understanding Google business categories broken down into their entity components so that you can structure the site to provide agreement with how Google understands those concepts. Same thing with the geography. Same thing that we're doing on the homepage here. We are modeling how the GBP is optimized. This is who we are. This is what we do. This is where we do it. How is the GBP optimized? This is Google's own layout, guys. Brand, product or service category, location, right? So we start there, but then in the H1, what do? I put the best now. I didn't used to do that. Why do we say the best? Because go look at any of the AI search prompt trackers. What are the types of prompts that consumers are speaking into the models when they're asking for recommendations? Can you recommend the best or the highest rated or the whatever? The best covers all of that. I didn't used to say this. A year ago, I didn't used to say this, but now I do. Why? Because we're tracking AI search prompts. Right? And we see that most of the prompts are including the best, top rated, the most reliable, et cetera. So we want to use those types of trigger words. They're not keywords, they're trigger words. You understand? I hate the word keyword now. I do. I think we should be talking about search queries and algorithm trigger words, not keywords. You understand? So take a look at this. What have we done though, right now in this particular example? Now we have just created a direct association between this homepage and the top level category, because it says HVAC services here, and it says heating and air conditioning, which is a synonym for HVAC contractor. So this is a direct association and agreement between the primary Google business category and the homepage of the site, which is the location landing page in this example. You understand? So again, guys, I don't think SEO is as hard as people make it to be. If you just understand the concepts that this is how Google understands topics. So Google business categories were created from entities. If you break down the Google business categories or entity components, you can start to understand the hierarchy of how those concepts, those entities relate to each other. And then you structure your pages and your overall site architecture to model that, right? Same thing with the geography. Right? And then everything about the pages should provide agreement with the GBP and what Google understands about those concepts. If you do that, you're firing on all cylinders. There's no disagreement. There's no inaccuracies, which I still see local SEOs doing all the time because they're trying to hammer Google over the head with something that is unreasonable and it doesn't make any sense. Okay, so H1, the best heating and air conditioning contractor in Colorado Springs. Okay, so I would do that. Now, what have we done now, guys? You don't need to repeat the brand entity in the H1 because that's implied now. It's established. And it's also, this is the homepage on the branded website. But now we've got top level product or service category, the service location. Now we have an entity variant of the top level product or service category, as well as a direct association with the primary Google business category, because heating and air conditioning contractor is equal to HVAC contractor. And now we're restating Colorado Springs, but as a entity variant. Instead of Colorado Springs, comma, Colorado, it's Colorado Springs. So now we get to the locations, the neighborhoods in this particular example. Okay, so this is what we'd say. We provide, or we could say, we're going to pick another entity variant. Give me a second. Ventilation. Let's see, we're going to do central heating and cooling this time. I'm going to do that one this time. All right, so what we would do in an H2, this is the H2 that introduces the neighborhoods, the supporting locations, guys, which are going to be H3 references. Understand why I talk so much about the hierarchy of a page structure and the main optimization elements of the page. Stop using H tags for styling elements. Use H tags to speak directly to the bots as to what the page is about, because that's what they're looking at. They're not looking at the paragraph text. They're looking at the main optimization elements of the page. And so if you've got H3s and H4s all over the fucking page because you want to make the text bigger, and you got it in the footers and the sidebars, to navigate the sidebars and all these H tags on the page, what does it do? It conflates or confuses what the main main entity of the page is, the main topics, because now there's heading tags on the page, settings and subheading tags that are diluting or ambiguating what the main entity of the page is. Heading H tags and headings and subheadings should only be used to convey to the bots what the page is with proper hierarchy. That's it. Like, again, and paragraph text should be optimized for humans to convert them into whatever conversion goal it is that you want them to take. So the H2 then would be, let's say, heating and cooling, central heating and cooling, and I'm going to say service areas in Colorado Springs, comma, CO. And hopefully that makes sense, because now you guys are seeing we are not hammering any one term over and over and over again. We're using entity variants in every main optimization element. So Colorado Springs, comma, Colorado is the first entity for the location. Colorado Springs is the second. Colorado Springs, comma, CO is the third. It's not repetition of the same fucking term over and over and over again. I get heated about that because I see it all the time as a white label provider. Local SEO submitting campaigns, and they'll tell me on the sales call, oh man, my on page is really good. And then I look at it and it's the keywords in the URL. It's in the exact same match, exact match keyword is in the URL. It's in the SEO title. It's in the H1. It's repeated multiple times in headings and subheadings. Oh man, my on page is tight. Yeah, in 2015, maybe. You know what I mean? So central heating, excuse me, not seating, central heating and cooling service areas. And then I'm going to say in Colorado Springs, Colorado, or excuse me, comma, CO. All right. So 3 entity variants for the location entity. Now here's where we get to H3s. All right. So then I would have H3s just like this. And in fact, let me, can I add a bullet to that? That's fine. So then I would have H3s for each of these neighborhoods within Colorado Springs. So that would be, where did I find that? Let me go find that page again. I must have clicked out of it. So now, well, I'm going to get to a point, and we're about out of time anyways. So hopefully this was valuable to you guys. But I'm going to click down here. Now, what I would do is for brevity's sake, I'm just going to copy all of those. I wouldn't just do it like this, but I would just for brevity's sake. These are all going to be H3s, guys. Hopefully you understand that. So let me do this. Because this is an H2. You guys understand that? This is an H2 that says these are the service areas that we provide our services in within the city of Colorado Springs. And so now I wouldn't create supporting pages for this unless it's needed. Well, how do you determine if it's needed? Well, first you reference them. These are all H3s. Now, because an H3 is a subheading that supports the heading, the H2. You understand? It's proper hierarchy. It's saying these are subtopics of this topic, which is the central heating and cooling service areas within the city of Colorado Springs. So I would have this one page and I would see how does it perform for search queries like HVAC services Nob Hill, HVAC services Cragmore, right? Or HVAC contractor Broadmoor, heating and cooling services Roswell. I'd see how does this perform for those queries. And then after giving it a reasonable amount of time, after the page has been crawled and indexed by Google, to see how it, give it at least 3 weeks after indexing, to see how is it performing for those various queries with these kind of neighborhood modifiers. And some of them are going to be ranking, the homepage will be ranking very well for those. In some cases, that's not going to be ranking so well. So that's when you know which supporting pages to then publish. And from this H3 section, you would just link directly down to the supporting page for that supporting location. Then within the content body of that supporting location page, you would have an internal link back up to the top level page, which in this example is the home page. You understand? So how would I target the north side? Exactly the way I just described. I would identify the areas within the north side of the city that are not performing very well. And I would likely then go publish the supporting location pages for the areas in the north side of the city. And then what do? You publish Google Business Post targeting the various product or service terms plus those neighborhoods. And you link with photos that we're taking in those neighborhoods, right? Seriously. And you link the Learn More button from the Google Business Post to the supporting location page. If it has one, if it doesn't need a supporting location page because the homepage with the reference is ranking, then you just link to the homepage with the same product or service term that you're optimizing for, plus any one of these neighborhood terms. You would link to the homepage if it doesn't have its own dedicated location page. If it has a dedicated location page, you link to that location page. You get what I'm saying? Guys, and now you've built the proper hierarchy between products and services or topics and locations, and now you're supporting that. Everything agrees with each other with true and accurate statements. Hopefully that's clear. I don't usually do this type of training on a Hump Day Hangout, but I did today. So hopefully you guys got some value out of that. Now I'm going to look at questions and we're going to wrap it up. We had one other one here that I want to answer very quickly before we get into any comments, guys. And then Adam, I know it's already over. If you've got to go, feel free. I'll stay on for a few more minutes. This question real quick, I'll answer, guys, and then I'll look at comments. This one is from Mark. So next question. Okay. We have to do that for a reason. Mark Dagger says, hey, Bradley, I have a growing SEO agency. I want to build an in-house team that delivers the exact same quality and links, quality and style as your white label link building service, including citations, etc. Which of your programs or courses covers the full setup and execution of your link building process? Is the mastermind the right place for this? Yes, 100%. Even the entry level tier now, guys. I got Circle open here somewhere. Here it is. Excuse me. The difference between entry level and pro level is pro level has the office hour sessions with me on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, but pro members also have full access to the mastermind webinars, which are every Thursday, which if you come down and look at the webinar archives here, you can see every Thursday. Webinar registration is here. It's every Thursday. And so just to answer your question, yeah, everything that I teach is either in SOP format or in course format or in both. So for example, SOPs over here, this shows all the SOPs for the directory hybrid agency model. Okay. Other Flowster SOPs for other various things like GBP optimization, content mirroring, local landers, brand builder, local SEO audit, all that kind of stuff. We also have our courses like local ops training, all the link building stuff that you just asked about. We have semantic links with CTRify. There's a course. Guys, I teach. I don't hold anything back. Everything that I do in my own agencies, guys, I teach. Exactly how I do link building for my white label link building service. It's all taught right here, right? Local PBNs or local blogs, right? Again, creating blogs with geographic relevance for helping to promote GBP performance. That's taught right there. Entry level tier, guys, $49 a month. Come check it out. Okay. All right. Last thing is I'm going to look at comments and then we're going to wrap it up for the day. Not a lot of comments. Good. Ghosty says the mastermind program exclusively for agencies. No, there's 2 tiers. So entry level tier is available for anybody that's just doing local SEO. The pro tier is for anybody but it's really geared for those that already have agencies because it's more strategic and operational stuff than tactical stuff. I explained that at the top of today's call. So, but yeah, come check it out, guys. It's very inexpensive. What harm is it going to do to spend $49 to come poke around in the mastermind for a month and determine whether you like it or not? It's $50, man. Right? Adam says, oh no, that's Adam. Excuse me. So after going with the Wikipedia process, what would you do next? I just went through that. Hopefully that was clear. All right, guys, we're over time, so I'm going to wrap up. I hope you guys got some value out of this. If there's any follow-up questions about what I taught about today, bring your questions next week, and I'm happy to answer them. All right. Appreciate you guys. Thanks, everybody, for being here. We will see you guys next week.